Preseli Hills again, and it's a really grey day, lots of wind about, plenty of rain, but it's an ideal chance to get out and look for compositions, and then when it's really lovely you can come back and get the shot. But I got my full camera kit in the backpack, but because it's raining all the time I've brought the tuff with me today so that I can take some shots even if it's chucking it down with rain, and you'll get an idea. You could see roughly what your composition will look like when you come back to do the full shoot. But it's just a case now of exploring, finding out what's going on, what the view looks like, look for great foreground, mid-ground, and get a really great composition or series of compositions going. So let's see what we can find. The aim here is to get as much of Khan Menin in the picture as possible. That's the main focus of the image. And then you have Khan Shan, the slopey side with all the rock debris on, as your foreground and midground. But you want to get up high enough so that you don't block out Khan Menin with that sort of midground and foreground, the sort of less interesting part of the image. But this position isn't quite right. I could do it being up a bit higher really. I'll record it so that you can see what I'm on about. The trouble here is you're just a bit too far away really for a good position, and the rocky slopes, it's just not quite right. So the case is just move around now to find a really good position as the rain starts battering down again. Woohoo! Hey! This is more like it up here now, and the trouble is the rain's getting on the lens all the time. It does look as if it's clearing now a bit, but I'm really getting quite an interesting look to the place now. Yeah, this is working well now. I need wipers on my glasses. No, that's going to be perfect, I think. Just to fine tune it a little bit when the weather's a bit better, and it's going to look really good. The joy here is it's a great spot for a sunrise shoot, because you're going to have the sun streaming over Khan Menin there and casting light all down the valley here, and you'll get that really great golden light at first thing in the morning as the rain doubles down. Oh, it's beautiful out, absolutely beautiful. If you don't like rain, don't come to Wales. So I've moved a little further around. There may be another composition further across, but I've kind of run out of time today, so I'm going to head back before it starts to get dark to give myself plenty of time to get back to the car. But there are a lot of possibilities up here, so I'm going to come back on a really nice day now, perhaps dawn, bit of cloud in the sky, and see what happens. Okay, so this looks promising. I was just on my way back, and of course when you're going in different directions you see different things, don't you? So I found some very interesting rocks jutting out of the hillside here. I'll spin the camera around so that you can see. Yeah, something like that. If I was to move around and get the actual, because I'm recording on the GoPro at the moment, so it's not ideal really. Doesn't really show the true, field of view at the moment. So if I was to, I'll spin it back around. If I was to get the main camera on the go, that could, oh, hold on, hey, there's a tree down there. Oh yeah. Now if I could incorporate that in, oh, that would be really good. And you've got the real steep side of the rocks here. Now that's very interesting. That has distinct possibilities. Okay, I'm going to scramble down. Well, I'll show you it from up here first of all. There you are, one tree. It's only a small one. It's the typical sort of windswept tree you get up in the hills, and it's sheltered because of the side of Khan Shan here. But that could be very interesting if I could get that in. Well, let's scramble down there and have a look. Okay, we've got to the dicey part. Oh dear. Yeah, it's very, very rocky, very interesting rocks these. Because of course, turn your back around, the joy of, the real interesting thing about a lot of the rocks in the Preselis here is that they were used to build parts of Stonehenge. And Khan Menin, which is the focus of the photograph I'm trying to take, that's where the actual bluestones tend to come from. And they're very interesting because they resonate if you hit them. So I wonder whether that's why they decided to cart them all the way from Pembrokeshire to Salisbury just to build the ring of stones at Stonehenge. This is really good. This is really good. Let's have a look. Whoa, slippery. Oh, this is quite interesting. There's the tree, but need to get a bit further around again. But that could be very interesting. Oh yes, definitely getting there now. Tweak the composition a little bit, because I'm viewing it as if I was looking through the camera lens, because I can picture it in my mind, rather than what you're seeing through the GoPro. But if I tweak it a little bit more, it could be really fantastic. I'll have to take a little closer look at that tree. Only, if that is something that flowers, I can't tell from here. That could be very interesting if I could catch it in the right season when the flowers are out. But I can't tell. I'll have to get down a bit lower. No, I can't tell from here. But yes, I think this is the spot. But unfortunately, it's starting to get a little bit dark now, so I should get back. But yes, this has distinct possibilities, this one. Oh yeah, I think I've cracked it. another day, so I'm back again to give it another attempt. When I started out this earlier on, it was beautiful sunshine, but you can see from how cloudy it is now just how quickly it can change in the mountains. So I've already had one heavy shower, so I'm back in the wet weather gear, but I'm going to attempt to take this view today. But the ground is so sloped here that I won't be able to use a tripod. Well, I could if I had a much bigger tripod, but mine's quite a small one. But it's all going to be handheld work, which is great fun because it makes you much more mobile. You can move up and down the slopes, just get the right vantage point really. And that's the trouble here, because you've got so many different levels going on with this composition that I'm going to have to really strike it lucky to get exactly the right spot. But the conditions look great now because these clouds are really, really interesting. So it should make the composition of Carn Menin really great. Now I've picked this first spot because you've got this great big rock here and it wouldn't allow me to use a tripod, but I don't think it's going to be a good option really. I think I'm really out of position here. I need to be further up the hill. If I take a look through, yeah, it's just not quite right. I need to be further up so that I can make that tree disappear down below the level of the rocks. I don't want the tree jutting up above the skyline of the rocks into the sky. You want it to be part of the mountain, part of the rock, and then have Carn Menin in the background. But just move further up, I think. There is a rock there that I think is going to be perfect, but I definitely won't be able to use a tripod. All right, here goes. No, I've come too high up now and too far round because the tree now is jutting out a bit into that mid-ground of all the grass in the moorland there. So it's a case of move back down slightly. Think probably if I just move around slightly, you can see a rock just down there. I think that will probably be the one. But I'll show you my view from here now, assuming I don't slip down the mountain here. Right, let's have a look through here. Yeah, it's quite nice, but everything is pushing too far in towards Carn Menin. So, try the rock. Oh yes, this is looking very hopeful. Oh yes, that's great. You've brought more of Carn Menin into the picture here because the elevation just adds that little bit extra to the scene. You move Carn Menin to the right and lower the tree down so that you can see the rocks behind it quite nicely. This is definitely the spot. Right, so as far as settings on the camera goes, because this is a Micro Four Thirds and Olympus M.1 Mark II, and you have a much greater depth of field on this than on a full frame because of the crop, which means on this I'm only going to have to use f8, and the image stabilization allows me to take the picture perfectly well just handheld, which is just as well where I'm stood. I don't think I get a tripod on here. Right, so I will try to take this photo. Just beginning to rain, so I better hurry up. Right, let's have a look. Oh yeah, that's perfect. I'll zoom in a bit because I don't want the grasses on the right, on the left there, butting into the scene. I want the rocks, the tree and Carn Menin all to be the major elements of this scene. So right, let's take the shot. Yeah, that's it. So I'm using ISO 200 here to get the best picture quality possible. But that's a really beautiful scene. It's the type of thing that it's worth just coming up to have a look at. Beautiful. Yeah, the rain is just starting again. Oh, shot one in the bag. Yes! Of course, one of the joys of somewhere like the Preseli is it's basically oozing with history. Not only have you got the fact that the blue stones were used in Stonehenge, but you've got some links to some very famous names, one of which is King Arthur. And that's where I'm going to head to next, because there's a really special site there that is an absolutely stunning picture. And I've never actually taken it. I've walked past it loads of times, but I've never actually taken a shot. So that is going to be a first for me, and I'm really looking forward to it, because this is the perfect conditions. Moody grey skies, rain every now and again to really bring in the grim, harsh nature of the landscape. But it's a fair hike, so I'll see you there. So this is it. This is Bearth Arthur. It's a Neolithic site which some say used to be a burial mound. There is a very slight trench going around the circumference of it, and it's shaped really like a horseshoe. But there also used to be a mound here apparently, and all the stones lean in towards where the mound used to sit. But this is one of the possible burial sites for King Arthur. Whether or not that's true, and I'm sure people right across Britain debate that, but I just love the fact that it's a part of the history of this area, and I think it's going to make a wonderful photo. But the wind is really picking up now, so thankfully I'm going to be shooting very low down. But it's a fantastic location, and it is going to look really amazing. Right, so to take this photo, I'm going to have to use an L plate and shoot it in vertical format or portrait format, because I haven't got a wide enough lens to be able to do it all in one. So for those of you who don't know, this is an L plate or an L bracket, and it just attaches to the bottom of your camera and allows you to mount the camera vertically like that. And what I'll do is then I'll just gradually take individual shots and combine them in post-production to make one wide angle shot that is really, really detailed. And it gets around the fact that I haven't got the wide angle lens. So I'm going to set up and get that done. Now it's getting very windy, so I'm going to get this really low to the ground. It'll give me a great vantage point as well, because the stones are so low. Some of them are only about 18 inches, 2 foot tall. So you don't want to be too high, or else they're just going to disappear into the grasses. But getting low down to the ground, it stabilizes the camera and produces that wonderful angle to really get a beautiful scene. As you can see, I've switched the screen down, flipped it out, and that way I don't have to crane down to look in the viewfinder, because, well, my neck isn't that flexible. Right, so I'll zoom in, and I've got the tripod as level as I need it really. If I swing back and forward, tighten that up, if I swing back and forward, it's not changing the angle too much. So I'll get a nice even level as I pan round taking the shot. So basically using the same settings as before. ISO 200, which is the best, cleanest picture on this camera, and then f8 for the aperture to give me a really good depth of field. So let's zoom in, get a nice looking shot. Let's just check that it's all in frame. Yeah, that's looking good. Yeah, so I'm going to set a 2-second timer on this because it's so windy, and then it'll just pause. And I'm leaving the stabilization on, which I don't normally do taking the landscape, but being as the wind keeps buffeting it, it will get rid of a bit of that movement. But the 2-second timer means that my intentional movement when I take my hands off the camera won't get caught in the frame. So, right, set about there for the first one. Right, here we go. First shot. Right, now what you do is you move about 2/3 on so that you overlap the last picture, and then you take another shot. And you keep doing that, overlapping each of the last shots, so that when you combine in post, Lightroom, if that's what you're using, has enough reference to stitch the two together. And each subsequent frame then you do the same thing, you overlap, you move on. I think here it'll probably be about 10 pictures, I would think. Thereabouts. Yeah, this is looking good. So that's the final picture taken. I think that's going to look absolutely beautiful. So that's it for today. I'm going to walk home now because it's only about an hour until sunset. And I'm going to be walking, watching the sun go down over the Preseli Hills. There isn't a better end to a day. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.